Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Well, it's Wednesday here on this program. We got a lot to talk about here today. Tonight, AEW Dynamite. And this, of course, is the follow-up to CM Punk announcing that he must, he's not vacating, but he must take some time off. He shall not relinquish the AEW title. So tonight, we have got a bunch of stuff happening. A casino battle royal. The winner of the match faces Jon Moxley. The winner of that match faces the winner of Tanahashi and Goto at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. We'll go over the full lineup for the AEW Dynamite show coming up tonight. 4 segments announced for the show, so we'll talk about that. We have also got the estimates for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. The estimates are in, and it's led to a lot of talk. And you know how things go when there's a lot of talk. There's 2 sides, and each side has decided to use this to their advantage, in air quotes. Got an update on Edge. There's a lot of stories going around about the Edge storyline, and I think they're all true. I'll tell you what I know about it and how that played into the Raw show on Monday. New Japan Strong introducing open weight tag team champions, which means that, if only Filthy and I could team up one more time. But Filthy Tom, I presume will be in the tournament. I don't know. But they've announced that. We have got NXT 2.0 from Tuesday night. I liked it. I don't want to hear anything bad about that NXT 2.0 show. Miles better than Monday Night Raw. We have also got ratings and so much more. If you'd like to text us here today, the phone number, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. Back in a moment to kick off the show, Wrestling Observer Live.
AEW Double or Nothing is going to be taking place later this month, so I decided to...
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. My God. Never realized the trials and tribulations of being a video star.
Oh, yeah?
God, I wear a hat, and then it's like, oh, what's with the hat? Did you get hair extensions? You know you can get lice. I'm like, bro.
I like people calling it your COVID hat.
Dude, listen. I'm still positive, okay? Although the line was virtually non-existent today, so I think I'm all right tomorrow.
And plus, like Dallas
I
Page,
haven't
you're
showered
positive.
in a couple of days. I just wear a hat, bros. Like, it's okay. How do you guys survive in the real world? This sort of thing. Hey, we got Battle Royal tonight to determine who faces Jon Moxley later in the show. And it'll be contested under Casino Battle Royal rules.
Oh, Lord.
Which means that there's going to be 20 wrestlers, which means anybody's in line for this title, basically. Groups of 5 every 3 minutes. And then there's going to be a joker, which begs the question, have they signed another new person? Also tonight, Pac will face Buddy Matthews. So it looks like neither of those blokes made it into that Battle Royal. Although maybe they did, I don't know. And Hangman Page will face David Finlay. And then Jon Moxley faces the winner of the Casino Battle Royal. Is there any way they could mow the lawn at, 1?
No, it's about to rain here, so now this entire community is infested with people trying to get their money in before the rain comes.
It is astonishing how they only mow the lawn during this show. It's mind-blowing to me, but what can you do? So also, in other AEW news...
It's all done to spite you, by the way.
In other... Well, that's like most of life. In other AEW news, Tony Khan... I can't wait to talk about this story. Tony Khan did an interview with a Jacksonville news outlet. It's vague.
What? Yeah, really?
Focused on their 3-year anniversary. Reiterated the May 29th Double or Nothing show did 1.1 million in ticket sales, which was not only the all-time record for AEW, but AEW has now done a larger gate than WCW ever did in its existence. It's unknown if the total is streaming, Bleacher Report, Fight TV, but the estimated buy rate for Double or Nothing is 155,000 buys. That would mean, as he noted in the post-show press conference, it is up from last year's Double or Nothing. But if you look at the Revolution show in February, Revolution did 173,000 buys, so it is down around 15% from the show that they did in February. Now, I mean, honestly, is this a big deal? No. Are people going to make it a big deal? Absolutely, okay? Because now everybody has to use this as evidence, okay? So, depending on who you like and don't like, it's a lot of people's fault, okay? The anti-Punk people... It's CM Punk's fault. Like, the February show was Adam Cole versus Hangman Page, where not one person on the planet thought Adam Cole could win the title. And that show did better than CM Punk challenging Hangman Page for the AEW title. If you're anti-MJF, then obviously the argument is, well, man, whole weekend of MJF stories and MJF trending super high on Google didn't mean a thing for... Which, by the way, that one actually is true. I'm not blaming MJF, but I am pointing out for people that, think that this sort of thing can vastly boost business. It clearly did nothing for Double or Nothing in terms of buys. And then, of course, there's this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a good number. 155,000 buys in a $1.1 million gate. There's nothing bad about this, but where we are in the history of the world, this is going to be a talking point for a long time now, depending on where you stand on any number of subjects. So there you go, 155,000 buys.
That's really exciting. That's fantastic. Thank
you. Sure is,
isn't
it?
For bequeathing us with all of this knowledge here.
I can't even.
Whose fault do you
I can't
think
even
it is,
look.
Brian?
It's nobody's fault, dude. It's nobody's fault. They were going head-to-head with an NBA playoff game that Tony Khan deliberately tried to make a long pay-per-view so that people could watch the game and then buy the pay-per-view. I mean, it's funny. If you want me to tell you the number one thing I think was the reason that it was down from February is probably because of that game. Because honestly, at the end of the day, WWE, Raw, SmackDown, AEW Rampage, AEW Dynamite, every single one of those shows, it doesn't matter what company, they all have been affected by the NBA, the NHL, obviously the NFL as well. And so if you're going to pick one thing, the most likely thing is the competition. Now, I mean, listen, I'll put it this way. If you want to argue that perhaps, this had something to do with CM Punk, him not being as big a draw as people think that he is, I mean, if you want to argue that, I'm not saying that's true, okay, but he was the headliner. He was the headliner. And Hangman Page worked in February, and Hangman Page worked in May. And Hangman Page, working in February, did 15% more buys. So you can't really point to Hangman. If you wanted to argue that maybe CM Punk is not as big a draw as people think he is, you could. I don't necessarily think that that's the reason for this. I mean, you could argue that maybe the lineup did not appear. There were a lot of matches, but as far as like depth of the lineup, I mean, February probably was stronger. You could maybe argue the lineup was weaker. You could argue competition. I don't think that you can argue that MJF made people not want to watch the show. I don't buy that for a second. No. But you can argue that, all of the talk, all of the whatever, did not lead to, people buying the show in larger numbers. It was down. So that's it. I mean,
well let me ask you, because
it's a good number, everybody.
It seems like, the people that were going to buy it were absolutely going to buy it, and just, I guess there were people that were not. But do you think the idea of counter-programming the NBA, I know he said he drove, people that bought it during the show, at least that's what he claimed afterwards. But do you look at that number and you see what they got, and do you go, you probably didn't really need to counter-program anything, Tony, because the people that literally were going to buy this bought it, and that was that? Do you really think the NBA? I still don't think.
I don't know, bro.
I think it may be other issues, all combined, together.
It affected every single solitary TV show, so I cannot rule it out.
I guess not. One thing I'm more, surprised about than anything, and I guess I shouldn't be, is them going tonight with the Joker and the whole Battle Royale rules to what is essentially your number one contender, for the title. And to me, I wish they would just have big names in this. I hope they don't make it a free-for-all with 20 of the most random names on the roster or anything like that. It should be the top 10. That's why you have ratings. And it should be 10 other big names involved in this thing. Wardlow's not in the top 10. Perfect place for him to be in. Maybe set up another feud for later. If you're going to debut a Cesaro, and I'm not saying he's signed because I don't believe that he is, but let's say you do something like that. If you're going to have a Joker, to me, you want to make sure it's a big name. There's no reason to kind of dumb this thing down.
All right, we've also got, we'll talk about Edge when we come back from the break. But I do want to mention New Japan has announced they will be introducing Strong Tag Team Champions. So New Japan Strong Ignition, June 19th. The tournament will begin. And a bunch of other matches as well, including Tanahashi and Yuya Uemura versus Jay White and Hikuleo, Jonah versus Taylor Russ, JR Kratos and Jordan Cruz. Hey, man, when I heard New Japan's doing Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships, I thought, man,
Nelson and Isaacs, right?
The Chop and Roll Express could ride one more time. But you know what I thought, Mike, because I'm that kind of guy? I thought, what? The Chop and Rolls could run. They could ride one more time. But at the end of the day, a strong partner is truly needed for this, and so I would need to find someone besides Filthy. Back in a moment with more, everybody. Observer Live.
Bring back my trivia video. That is right. Today we got AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Let's go ahead and play. Question number 1. Who did Hangman Adam Page eliminate to win the 21-man Casino Battle Royale at AEW Double or Nothing 2019? A. Joey Janela, B. MJF, C. Orange Cassidy, or D. None of the above? The correct answer is MJF. Question number 2. True or false? At AEW Double or Nothing 2019, the Young Bucks defeated the Lucha Brothers for the AEW Tag Team Championship. The answer is false. While the Young Bucks did defeat the Lucha Brothers, it wasn't for the AEW Tag Team titles. It was actually for the AAA Tag Team titles. Question number 3. Who won the Casino Ladder match at AEW Double or Nothing 2020? A. Scorpio Sky, B. Darby Allin, C. Orange Cassidy, D. None of the above. The correct answer is none of the above. The winner of the Casino Ladder match was Brian Cage, who made his AEW debut that night. Question number 4. How many AEW Double or Nothing matches from 2019 through 2021 have received a 5-star rating? A. 0, B. 1, C. 2, D. 3. The correct answer is 1. And it was the first AEW Double or Nothing event in 2019. It was the match between Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. It received 5 stars. Question number 5. How many title changes have occurred between the 2019 Double or Nothing and the 2021 Double or Nothing? A. 1, B. 2, C. 3, D. 5 or more. The correct answer is 3. At Double or Nothing 2020, we saw Cody win the AEW TNT Championship after defeating Lance Archer. Hikaru Shida also won the AEW Women's Championship after defeating Nyla Rose that night. And at AEW Double or Nothing 2021, we saw Dr. Britt Baker defeat Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. Alrighty, that's a wrap for part 1 of the AEW Double or Nothing trivia. I will be back with a part 2. Enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
Back at the show, Bryan Alvarez here. Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. All right, so a lot of stories out today, including this one on our front page. Edge was reportedly not in favor of the Judgment Day going a supernatural route.
What?
To a report from Fightful Select, Edge being kicked out of the group on Raw may have been a result of his opposition to future plans. Okay, so I think this is all true. Okay. I was told yesterday that, I don't know if it was at the pay-per-view or at some point over the weekend, allegedly Edge was approached with this idea of, we need to make this Judgment Day more supernatural. Because, they don't learn anything ever, okay? Ever. It's like, this stuff fails over and over and over and over and over again. But damn it, we're just going to keep doing it. One of these days, it might get over. So anyway, they approached him with this, and he was like, it ain't happening. I don't want to do it. That's the story, okay? And then Monday, obviously, he was removed.
Losing a fall to Casper.
And replaced with Finn Balor, okay? Now,
about as white as Casper.
I was not directly told that one had to do with the other, okay? But it would seem to make sense that that's why Edge was removed from this group. It's possible that one has nothing to do with the other, and maybe Edge actually, they reported that he had some orbital floor fracture or whatever, which I guess is possible. I mean, I once fractured my orbital bone, and it sucked, but I could have done an angle. I could have done an injury angle afterwards. So, but for sure, the story about, Edge being approached and they want the group to be spooky. And when you think about it, I was talking about this with, I think, Lance yesterday. So yesterday I was ranting and raving about how much Raw sucks and the storytelling is just horrendous, and I was mocking the absolute stupidity of, Edge pinning Finn Balor. And then in storyline the next day, Judgment Day decides, we don't want Edge. We'd rather have Finn Balor. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's totally nonsensical. But if you go with the idea that, at the pay-per-view, there were no plans to kick Edge out of this group, and then Edge shows up Monday, and since he doesn't want to do Spooky Time, they decide, well, we'll put someone in who will do Spooky Time. We're going to replace you with Finn Balor. And then, they rewrite everything and they shoot the angle that night. That would explain why it didn't make any sense, because when they did the pay-per-view Sunday, they didn't have anything planned like this for Monday. So based on even by WWE standards, it's pretty stupid what they did. So I'm thinking that it's probably all true, and he turned down the idea Sunday, and then Monday they decided, okay, well, you're out of here, and here's the angle we're going to do. And it doesn't make any sense, but who cares? And they shot the angle. So that's my guess as to what happened there. And at the end of the day, listen, Edge is way better served as a babyface than Captain Droning Monotone is the head of this group. And, bro, good for him saying no to Spooky Time. It sucks. And, everybody who... Have you ever noticed, by the way, everyone's like, oh, well, Bray sold a lot of belts for this. Dude, Bray got fired, okay? Where's Bray right now?
Well...
Dude, every single person... Let's think of the people that have been involved with the Spooky Time gimmick. Seth Rollins, whose babyface career was killed by it. Bray Wyatt, who ended up being fired. Alexa Bliss, who ended up taking off TV forever. Then they brought her back and tried to redo Spooky Time, and then it still didn't work, and so now she's just a wrestler again. Joe Gacy, who's just Joe Gacy, if you guys didn't watch NXT, now he's a manager. He's managing the other two hooded blokes. That's what they have him doing now. So, a lot of good that did him. So, no, nobody ever benefits from Spooky Time. Yet here we go. Oh, what's going to get this Judgment Day over? Let's make them spooky. That's good. We'll do some supernatural stuff with this group. That's going to help. And just not happening under my watch. And it's not. It's happening under Finn Balor's watch now. So anyway, that's the story I heard.
I thought it was pretty dumb how they got there, and to kick Edge out of the group and bring in Finn Balor, a guy that's, the last time he did Spooky Time, his lights went out and he fell off the ropes and then he disappeared for a while. And this was the loser that now they beat and is now going to replace Edge. Okay, I thought that was a dumb way to get there, but then I thought, much like you, Edge really isn't working in this role. Him going away for a while, coming back as a babyface, watching these three stand on their own, may be a good idea because, in a way... maybe copying the House of Black or whatever, but if nothing else, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest standing there with the possibility of maybe taking them to another level, that was a good, exciting thought. Now I wonder, again, since you're playing Spooky Time, how is this going to benefit Damian Priest, who should be a star right now, and Rhea Ripley, who also should be a star right now, or at least on her way to becoming one? We'll
can I
see
talk
what
about?
Happens, but come on now.
Can I talk about some history real quick?
Sure.
Because I see the chat here going, "Oh, it worked for one guy,
Who,
the
Kevin Sullivan?
Undertaker."
Okay, Undertaker.
Let me tell you all about the Undertaker.
There's a lot of history to.
Yeah, that's the point. One of the reasons the Undertaker is such a legend is because he was around and pushed as a main eventer for 30 years. Okay, that's one of the things. But if you remember, the hottest period in WWE history, mainstream, he wasn't Spooky Time Undertaker. He was a biker. He was a biker during that entire period. The other reason that The Undertaker got so over was because of his WrestleMania streak at a period of 6-7 years where he had nothing but fantastic matches at WrestleMania. And guess what? It wasn't because of Spooky Time. It was because of what a great worker he was and what legendary WrestleMania. He had 2 with Shawn Michaels. He had 2 with Triple H. Who else did he have in that time? But anyway, it was like one, and then of course the legendary Brock Lesnar match. Which let me tell you something, there was nothing spooky about the Undertaker Brock Lesnar feud. Okay, nothing. All right, when he was spooky, this was like early '90s when he was floating to heaven, when he was buried and levitating, that was not a strong period for WWE. That was not a strong period for The Undertaker. The actual spooky Undertaker period was not an over-lucrative time for the company or for The Undertaker. So it didn't even work for that guy.
Plus, Brian, my God, do you remember him making Vince McMahon's teddy bear, his childhood teddy bear, burst into flames? Do you remember that? If they were not as hot as they were, and granted, it's easy to say, well, yeah, if they weren't as hot as they were, some of that stuff, in hindsight, if you would have done it any other time, if they weren't hot and it didn't involve Austin, it would not have worked. And there is no Steve
Stephanie's
Austin
bear.
now. It was Vince's. It was Vince's bear, I believe.
Maybe
That's
it was Vince's bear that he
tears.
gave to Stephanie or something. I don't know.
It was just, oh my God. Again, some things only work in time and place. And that was a great example of it.
I do love this. Undertaker as Ministry of Darkness Taker drew $10 million. They drew $10 million because of the Ministry of Darkness. Not because of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. And that's why it was the Ministry of Darkness? I got it, yeah.
Many dynamics at play here. It wasn't
that's like saying,
Midian.
Last year,
Big
WWE,
Viscera, that's what it was.
They grossed $1 billion, so it was because of Bray.
Bray.
No, it wasn't. It was not because of Bray. Raw on Monday night did a good number. 1.87 million viewers, 0.52 rating. So the best number they've done, 18-49 since just right after WrestleMania. Increases.
Good.
No, I was just pointing out, it did a good number. 1.95 million first hour. Everybody tuning in for the aftermath of Cody. Held to 1.9 million in the second hour, and then dropped to 1.77 million in the third hour.
I think hockey as an excuse is now going to be over with. I mean, I know the finals are going to be coming up, but Colorado and Edmonton is over. It's not like that was a big money feud anyway. It was a high-profile thing. That game was on Monday. The Lightning and the Rangers, New York in that market, so that's still going to be something for now. But I have a feeling like that excuse, even depending on when the Stanley Cup games are going to be, I don't know if that's really going to be an issue from this point out.
And by the way, we haven't talked about this for a while, but boy, I heard more this morning about this Dragon Gate Noah thing.
Well,
God. And I bring it up here because we don't talk about Dragon Gate and Noah a lot, but man,
fall out of my chair talking about this.
This is what happens when you try to do interpromotional and you deal with politics.
Wait, time out.
And when there's a stronger company, which is funny because somehow in all of this, Noah is like the stronger company, even though they're not, right? It's bizarre.
I would not say so. I would absolutely
but
not
they're
say
running the
so.
show.
Well, that's why it's like maybe it's more got to do with personalities and Nosawa and that sort of stuff.
Well, it's Nosawa and then like the Dragon Gate trainers, a few of them have retired. So now they've lost 3 of their dojo guys this week. 3 of them have quit this week.
And that's a big
because they don't
deal.
like the new trainers.
That's a big deal. I mean, to me, and honestly, think about it. And I know there's a lot of fans out there who aren't aware, but is there anybody more consistent and anybody better at working fast-paced and having the crispness and the timing that Dragon Gate wrestlers do? I mean, they are amazing. You take them for granted sometimes. I mean, Mochizuki is one of the greatest wrestlers to ever wrestle over the age of 50 years old, and we bring up a lot of names, and we've always never bring this guy up, and he is absolutely crazy amazing. So, losing guys out of that dojo, I mean, wherever they go, it's going to benefit somebody else because that system has been tight for years.
All right, back in a moment. NXT 2.0, a good show. Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. It's Denise Salcedo, and I am back with part 2 of my AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Let's play. Question number 1. True or false? Cody Rhodes has had a singles match on every edition of AEW Double or Nothing from 2019 through 2021. The answer is true. In 2019, he wrestled Dustin Rhodes. In 2020, he wrestled Lance Archer. And in 2021, he wrestled Anthony Ogogo. Question number 2. Who was not in the AEW Double or Nothing 2021 Casino Battle Royale? A. Wardlow. B. Dustin Rhodes. C. Penta El Cero Miedo. D.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. I don't want to hear nothing. I know it's cool to bury NXT 2.0, but you know what? I always try to be a fair man. And this was a pretty good show. So it opens up with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams coming to the ring to celebrate that Carmelo's the new North American champion. And out comes Solo Sikoa, who was promised by the previous champion that he would be next in line. So he comes out because he wants his shot, and they tell him, sorry, brother, you made that deal with this other bloke here. So they end up getting into a brawl. Grayson Waller comes down. They beat on Solo Sikoa, 3-on-1, and that leads to a segment later on in the show. I like this Solo Sikoa. His promos are getting better, and Carmelo Hayes is obviously very good. We had a segment with Legado del Fantasma. They're part of the family now, and they don't like it. Josh Briggs faced Von Wagner. Josh Briggs faces Von Wagner. And a match is all right, but at the end, there's a big schmaz. And the Virgin, who's got a broken right hand because he's been pleasuring himself too vigorously. And if you think I'm making that up, that's the storyline. So the Virgin, he ends up taking his cast off because apparently he hasn't been. Anyway, he throws it in the ring. His buddy hits Von Wagner in the head, pins him. Pins Von Wagner. Holy smokes, what a turn of events. Then we have a Solo Sikoa promo, and it's every, babyface WWE promo you've ever heard. I'll take on both of those guys by myself. If anybody wants to come out, they're welcome to, but I'm never one to ask for help. I'm like, what is this, 1980? You can ask for help, brother. You're not a weak man. But he's not going to ask for help. We'll see if anybody else shows up. Then we have Thea Hale. She just graduated high school. She's accepting her, whatever they give you when you go to college. I never went, so I don't know. But she's accepting it from Chase U. And in walks Pretty Deadly. And they're all awesome. And this leads to a challenge for a tag team match later on in the evening with Andre Chase and my main man, Bodie Hayward. This is by far the best NXT name of anybody there. Then we had the former Ben Carter, Nathan Frazier versus Santos Escobar. Oh, you going to try to tell me this wasn't good? It was a very good match. And Tony D'Angelo's at ringside, and he's on commentary. And he's actually funny because, every time Santos Escobar does something awesome, like he does the big giant tope that goes 30 feet, and then Tony on commentary gets up and he starts giving him advice. Don't do that anymore. Nobody wants to see that. He's trying to get him to get rid of all of his cool stuff. And so Santos Escobar is he's down, and one of the either stacks or two dimes, who knows, they slide in the crowbar, but Santos refuses to use it. And he throws it back out of the ring, and of course he's immediately taken out by Frazier. Phoenix Splash, 1, 2, 3. Tony D'Angelo just can't deal with this loser. So this was good. The Zion Quinn promo. What?
Nothing. Good.
Zion Quinn promo. And this was not very good. This guy's not getting much better. You ever notice that? He's exactly the same. So anyway, he wants, as he calls him, Wesley. He's going to take on Wesley next week in a rematch. He vows to leave him unconscious. Then the show really turned around. Braun Breaker comes down to the ring, and thank God, he is, in fact, finally fully done with Joe Gacy. So he's doing this promo, and all of a sudden this music hits, and I'm like, what? Whose music is this? And you know who it is? It's Apollo Crews. Let me tell you who's a star. Apollo Crews. So first off, this bloke comes out and he gets the NXT, when a WWE guy shows up in the NXT building, they just lose their mind. They go crazy for this guy. And he is just walking around like a superstar. And he cuts his promo about how, dude, he's been waiting for a reaction like that. By the way, his accent's gone. He's no longer a Nigerian prince. So he's so happy to be back, and man, he got called up too early. There's so many things he wanted to do, and he goes, one of these days, you and I, Braun Breaker, we're gonna dance for that title. But until then, all the best. And he leaves, and there was more to come, by the way. But this guy brought some life to this show, this Apollo Crews. Then we had Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton. About 8 minutes aired, okay? It was pretty good. But let me tell you who's great. Roxanne Perez was she was so awesome in this match. Because, they use that term ring general. I mean, if you watch this match closely, there were a couple of spots where, I don't know if Tiffany forgot what she was doing or if they tried to call certain parts of it in the ring. But man, Roxanne was in charge. And dude, she got a good match out of Tiffany Stratton. They probably went about 11 minutes if you remove the television time. And what I was so impressed with in this match, and there was another women's match later that was not nearly as good. A lot of these NXT women's matches, and AEW as well, it's like they want you to do some spots. And so you watch the match and it's like, well, here's a spot. And maybe it looks good, maybe it doesn't. And then here's another spot. And then, 3 minutes later, you do a spot, and then the match is over. But no one's actually working. This match, they were working. And they worked holds, and they traded holds, and they wrestled. And every now and then they'd have a spot, but the match wasn't all about the spots. It was about having a match, and then when the time is right, you do a spot. And Roxanne won, and she is the breakout champion. She can now challenge for a title. And Cora Jade comes out to celebrate with her, and then Toxic Attraction came out, and they had a thing or whatever. But this was good. This was a good match, and Roxanne is awesome. Had a couple of other segments that weren't so awesome. Bodie Hayward got beat up by Pretty Deadly, and Andre Chase swears a bunch, and then he's on his way to do this by himself. Pretty Deadly versus Chase U, okay? Bro, no, this wasn't a 5-star match or anything like that. But, dude, this Pretty Deadly is a good working team. And they had a fun, short handicap match, just selling and give it back and sell, and then a little bit of heat, and then, Bodie starts trying to crawl his way to ringside because he's got beat up. And out there is Thea. And she's like, no, you can't go, you're hurt. And he goes, but we have to help Mr. Chase. And so she goes, I'll do it. And she runs down and jumps up on the apron and goes for the hand. The place is going crazy. But she doesn't get the hot hand. But she does do a quick distraction, which doesn't lead to anything, unfortunately, for Andre Chase. He's hit with spilled milk. He's pinned. And this was good for what it was. What was not good, Alba Fire and Tatum Paxley. If you like NXT 2.0 when it's horrible, have I got the match for you? And it's not Alba Fire's fault. They tried some spot in the corner. They're in the middle of the ring. Alba Fire goes to toss her into the corner. Tatum Paxley does a reversal. Alba Fire does another reversal. Tatum Paxley then does another reversal. Alba Fire then tries to pull her, but Tatum Paxley puts on the brakes. And so Alba Fire grabs her by the arm and the back of her head, and she rams her to this corner so hard. I laughed and laughed and laughed. And I watched it over and over and over again. It was like, God help me. And then it's just like, what a life these
veterans got to take over.
Oh, my God. They're in there, and they just got to lead the blind, and they try so hard. And, like, sometimes it works, and sometimes, like, in this match, it ain't happening. And she won with the senton, and she got the win. And then, I mean, I'm trying to imagine being, Kaylee Ray. And, dude, you just go in there, and you try everything you can, and you can't do anything. And then when the match is over, this bad match, you all of a sudden get booted in the aisle by Lash Legend. And that's who you get next. It's like, God. Oh, Lord. I was thinking about Roxy as well. Because, like, Roxy was the ROH Women's Champion. She was great. And then it was like, is she going to go to AEW or is she going to go to NXT? And, most everybody was like, oh, man, I hope she goes to AEW. Like, she'll have the ability to wrestle, whatever. And, man, I watch her on NXT 2.0. I'm so glad she came here because we need some people on this show that can work.
Yeah.
Like her and Ben Carter. I know people are mad that he didn't go to AEW, but, bro, I'm so happy he came here because I got to watch all this stuff, and I need something good.
You're a simp for the show anyway, so anything else on top of it is just icing there, isn't it?
Well, let me finish this.
Good.
We had the Creed brothers doing a segment with Roderick Strong where he apologizes for everything. And then Edris Enofe and Malik Blade come in. And this is one of those funny ones where, who's the one with the great body? Is it Edris?
Edris.
I think it's Edris that has a great body. How everyone, when they're watching a monitor, they have to turn to directly face the monitor so it looks so fake? Or, like, if there's 4, they do this with the women as well, where, like, you're going to interview 4 women because we're going to have the 85th multi-woman match for a title shot. And, like, all the women have to literally be exactly shoulder to shoulder in a line talking to each other so that you can see them like they're all action figures. Ederson Hofe walking in with no shirt on. And literally, he walks in, he's like a crab. He walks in sideways so that you can see his body the entire time. He never turns at all. It's always straight on so you can see nothing but his physique. And anyway, they, them and the Creeds are all cool, and the Creeds offer him a title match for next week. And then they leave, and Roderick's angry at the Creeds. And at the end of the promo, he goes, I gave you one mistake as champions, and you just made it, and he walks off. So I don't know if that's the end of Roderick Strong, but he left. And by the way, I know that everybody in WWE loves Julius, the tall one, because he's tall. And I'm not saying that, he's not going to be a star or anything like that, but Brutus is your man, dude. But they're not going to figure it out because he's not tall. And then the main event, it was Solo Sikoa and Apollo Crews as his mystery partner against Carmelo Hayes and Grayson Waller. This was a very good main event. And, bro, this Apollo Crews, I know this is not, news to probably most of you. But, when he's not playing a Nigerian prince and being stuck with Commander Aziz and doing stupid stuff on the main roster, this dude is awesome. He was so good in this match. Like, sometimes you watch these shows and somebody comes from like kind of with Ziggler as well. But to me, it was even more like Apollo Crews. It was like, this guy is a pro in here with and I like Solo Sikoa and I like Carmelo and everything like that. But this was a pro in there with amateurs. He was so good in this match. And he got the win with his, I forget what he won with, but it doesn't matter. But he got the win, and it was a good match. And overall, this was the best NXT 2.0, legitimately, not some gimmick. This was the best NXT 2.0 in a long time. So, yeah, Aziz, by the way, has been moved to NXT, but he was nowhere to be seen on this show. So, may not bode well for that bloke, that tall bloke. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
The above. The correct answer is Wardlow. He was not in it because he was participating in the Stadium Stampede that year. Question number 3. True or false? Kenny Omega has had a singles match on every AEW Double or Nothing from 2019 through 2021. The answer is false. In 2019, he wrestled Jericho, but the following year, he was part of the Stadium Stampede, and then in 2021, he was in a triple threat against Orange Cassidy and Pac. Question number 4. True or false? Kenny Omega has main evented every AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view between 2019 and 2021. And once again, the answer is false. He took part in the main events for 2019 and 2020, but for 2021, he was not in the Stadium Stampede match, which closed out the show. Question number 5. Name the 2 cities that have hosted an AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. There are only 2 answers, and those are Jacksonville, Florida, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, that's officially a wrap for our AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Thank you guys so much for playing. I hope you guys had a good time. Other than that, enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
in the show. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I do want to make something clear. On the Bryan and Vinny show yesterday, I was mentioning that it appears they've given up on some of these people in NXT. But I woke up today and there's like a dozen articles about how I reported they were about to cut a bunch of people. I didn't say that, okay? Now, do I expect some cuts here pretty soon? Yeah, probably, because that's what always happens. But I have not been told directly that anybody is about to be cut. But you are probably going to see cuts right around every 3 months because that's the way that they're doing things now. They're getting a bunch of people in. You got 3 months, and they either see some sort of improvement or you're out of there. Okay, I have not heard that like imminently, like this Friday, a bunch of people. But I mean, it could. Here's the thing: it can happen at any time. Even if somebody there told me, and this happened actually a little while ago. Cuts are coming Friday afternoon. Well, then they didn't. And then they did 2 weeks later. Because, if you watch the show and you watch people getting cut, it's like they don't know until the day comes where they get cut. What happens is on whatever day ends up being the day, John Laurinaitis sends out an email and everyone there finds out at the same time. That includes the writers. So, if Vince decided tomorrow, you know what, I think I'm going to cut this Apollo Crews. It's like, well, Apollo Crews wins the main event of NXT 2.0, and then he vanishes. That's the way they operate there. So, no, I have not heard that imminently there are going to be any cuts. I have heard that they've essentially given up on certain people, and I would guess if you watch the show and continue to watch the show, it'll probably be pretty obvious. And if those people get cut, I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes people get cut, sometimes they get repackaged, sometimes they get whatever. So, it'll happen.
Hey, boss.
Yeah.
Thanks for the easy money today.
No problem, brother. Anytime. Hey, we got to go! Mike's going to be up on his podcast at some point. You can check it out.
Yeah.
Wherever it's at.
We're recording the Big Audio Nightmare for subscribers at 4wonline.com very soon.
Yep. Well, we're out of time. Thanks, Mike, as always, callers and listeners. I'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.